And it's amazing. In Egypt, apparently the most beautifully made vases were done the oldest. The oldest were the best. And it's the same way with lithics.
Right.
The older manufacturing techniques were better. And you can see how they became less and less precise over the thousands of years.
Right.
Hello. Welcome to the Dr. Gil Show. My guest today is my dear friend, Mr. Brent Cook. Welcome to the show, Brent.
Thank you, Gil.
Brent is an expert on what we call arrowheads, and we'll talk about what that actually means. But arrowheads are an artifact that's found throughout North America, and you have quite a passion for collecting them and knowing a lot of information about them, don't you, Brent?
Yeah, I got started when I was 8 years old.
8 years old.
I found my first piece when I was 8 years old. They were digging a water line in front of my parents' best friend's house.
Yeah.
And I was out there just walking along, messing around in the dirt, and an 8-inch Watlow was laying there.
And it found you.
Yeah.
I, in fact, found my first arrowhead around age 8 by accident. Now, you might say, why is the Dr. Gil Show talking about arrowheads? Well, I've brought up arrowheads on several of our videos so far as they pertain to diet. People say, what is the optimum human diet? Well, I think there's a lot of information in knowing what we have eaten for thousands and thousands of years. Traditional foodstuffs and whatnot.
Exactly.
So these arrowheads, these projectile points, tell us exactly, at least in part, what humans were eating for thousands and thousands of years here, don't they?
Now, if we go back to the Clovis period.
Yes, we're going to talk about that in a second, Brent.
They were carnivores.
They absolutely was a big part of their diet.
And
now, Brent, you are you come from northern Cherokee folk, don't you?
Yes. And my family's been here since 1805 here in Columbia.
Here in Missouri, 1805. But you can trace your heritage to the Cherokee going way, way back.
Yeah.
Now, did the Cherokee originally, at least in your extended family, start on the East Coast?
They started in the East Coast, the Carolinas, Georgia, and Alabama.
Uh-huh.
And then you had the Chickasaw and the Chickamaugas come out of the Cherokee. The Iroquois is out of the Cherokee Nation, and that's really a lot of your tribes that the white man encountered were broken down from larger tribes and started their own tribes and cultures and civilizations, and they had each had their own ways of their religions and stuff, and you hear a lot of times they call them savages.
Yeah,
and
a poor choice of words.
And they were the most religious people that I've ever encountered.
It goes way back.
And it just never was printed.
Mm-hmm.
And they still disagree with putting religion in print. And it's supposed to be passed down by mouth and shown from the previous generation.
Yeah, because you look at petroglyphs, these writings, and we can't interpret them necessarily. We have some vague idea sometimes, but we don't know because we don't have that oral tradition.
Yeah, and it's the same way with the Dead Sea Scrolls. If you go across the ocean, and you get the Dead Sea Scrolls, they come up with theories of what it means and stuff, but they don't know exactly what was going on over there. And
yes,
it's just the artifacts we find here. It's all really just theory. And these archaeologists and stuff, and MU's got a fantastic School of Archaeology and Anthropology.
University of Missouri?
Yes, and it used to be over in Swallow Hall, and I don't know if they've got moved back in there or not. But they have a display over here in Missouri Historical Society in the new museum they put up over there.
Yeah, now this is an enormous topic, Brent, and I'm going to take this bull by the horns and kind of guide it. Now, the Indian tribes or the Native American tribes that we would know about were relatively contemporary. A few hundred years ago, we had language, we knew what their names were. But when we go back and back and back, they're lost to the sands of time, right? We don't know what they call themselves.
Anything.
We don't know their languages.
Anything before the woodland people.
Yeah.
They didn't interact with them or anything, so they don't know exactly what their lifestyle was and how they're, because they run off of democracy.
But say that better for me again?
I mean, the Native Americans were a democratic society.
Oh, democracy, you said, yeah.
I mean,
very
they
interesting.
voted on stuff, and then like your Cherokee, your head chief, I mean, it's a matriarchal society.
Okay.
So your main chief is always a woman. A woman's always got the last say.
I didn't know that. Know that.
A lot of people don't. And
now there's a lot of controversy, Brent, about when the first human peopled North America, and we all agree it was at least 13,000 years ago.
Right.
Now,
but they've run into the situation now that they didn't come across the Bering Strait.
Right. This is a whole huge topic. It's very clear in South America, a lot of them came across the Pacific in boats.
Right.
They probably came around in boats. They didn't necessarily walk across Beringa at all.
No, they were in skin boats.
And I don't want to go to it's a lot of controversy about when the first people were here, but we all agree it was at least 13,000 years ago.
Right. That's what their radiocarbon dating has gone back
Yes,
to.
and it's not it's in the organic material around these dates. It's the animal remains, the bone remains around which the points are found.
Right, or textiles that they find and stuff. Like sandals and their the hides that they wore and stuff. They can actually draw DNA out of that. And
Now, what's one of the amazing insights we get from these arrowheads and these lithic remains and these relics is that for some reason the culture made the arrowheads the same. They had the same strategies. They had the same what's called reduction strategies.
Right.
And they ended up being very similar. So we can deduce, even though we don't know their language, we don't know their name, we can deduce that it was the same culture nationwide, if it's the same point.
Right, if it's the same style. No, I mean,
isn't that amazing? It was like the right way.
My belief is that, say, this group run into this group, and they say, well, they're manufacturing their knives or their spear points, or and mostly that's what your paleo stuff were spear points. They didn't have bow and arrow.
Right. And we're going to get to that, how these evolved with the technology. So what I'm going to do, Brent, is I'm going to start with the earliest points that everyone agrees upon that were about 13,000 years old.
And that's what baffles me is why is the most exceptionally made points, how can they put their finger on it and say this is the oldest one?
Right. And it's amazing. In Egypt, apparently the most beautifully made vases were done the oldest. The oldest were the best. And it's the same way with lithics.
Right.
The older manufacturing techniques were better. And you can see how they became less and less precise over the thousands of years.
Right. And you can lay them side by side as it transitioned from one point type to another point type.
And it just so happens, Brent, I have the transition. I have 13,000 years of transition here, and I'm really looking forward to your insight and your explanation of these various points. So I'm going to start out with an authentic Clovis point. Now, these are made of cherts, which are somewhat impure flints. Cherts flake and stay sharp and can be worked. And here is a Clovis point, Brent. This one is from central Kentucky. In fact, Clovis points can be found virtually all over North America. They're named after Clovis, New Mexico, where they were first found in an arroyo by a cowboy in bones.
Yeah.
In buffalo bones.
And a buffalo jump.
In a buffalo jump,
And they were running them off of the side of the cliff. And then they would run up in on them and
so it was named after Clovis, New Mexico. In fact, the highest concentrations are in the North American Southeast. In fact, I'm told. So tell us, Brent.
Actually, this area.
Oh, here in the Midwest. Yeah, they're here in the Midwest as well.
Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky, and Tennessee is the biggest concentration of paleo points.
Amazing.
And,
Amazing.
I mean,
So
this-
tell us, what are the
this-
features of a paleo, of a Clovis point, Brent? Please tell us, walk us through that.
I mean, this was a spear point, and they used what they called an atlatl.
So this
And-
was on a thrown projectile,
Right.
with a throwing stick.
Because you can't get much force if you're throwing an 8-foot-long stick with this rock on the end of it. You're not going to get much velocity out of it.
And much penetrating power.
But when you come to these, they didn't have banner stones.
But now don't complicate things with banner stones yet. Tell me about Clovis points.
So
this could go many different directions, Brent. We could talk for hours.
This is a hornstone Clovis.
Hornstone is a type of chert, a very high quality chert.
It's pretty much glass, almost glass-like. And these are the ones that are closer to your obsidians and stuff like that. The ones that they've got in Kentucky and Tennessee, you've got your Carter Cave, Buffalo River, you've got your Hornstone, you've got your Sonora. And
Yes,
your
I have some
Hopkinsville.
examples of these here we're going to get into.
And it's crazy. And the stuff that people think is everyday food now that we consume every day.
Right.
Well, they didn't have that in Europe until 1492.
Oh, in Europe. Oh, right. But here, 13,000 years ago, they were hunting the megafauna, the mastodons, the mammoths, the giant bison. So take us through this Clovis point, Brent. Tell me, what are the features of a Clovis point that you look for?
Originally, this would have been a leaf-shaped blade.
Okay.
That would have been his first stage.
Okay.
And as he worked it, he would leave a nipple here in the center of this convex or concave portion of this point.
Of the base. This is the base of a point.
Right.
Okay.
And then these are your oracles.
The ear, we call them the ears of the oracles. Very good.
And they would leave a little nipple here. And then they would use indirect percussion, because that way they could take that piece of bone and they would put this on their lap on a piece of leather.
Okay.
And then they'd have an antler that they'd work down to a fine tip.
Okay.
And they'd take a piece of leather, loop it around underneath their leg. And then they could rest it on this nipple here. And then he'd take another antler. And he would strike it. And when he did that, it would drive that flake.
So let's show our friends at home what a fluted flake looks like. So here is a beautiful Clovis point. I will move this slate felt out of the way, and here is a Clovis point, and here you can see it has a fluted base. It's this big flake here.
Right.
It's this big flake here at the bottom, and the Clovis has this very well established shape.
Right.
And that would go on the end of the spear. Now, it had a foreshaft, in fact. They would mount it to a foreshaft, and the foreshaft would go on the spear of sorts, right?
On some of the cultures, yes, they did use foreshafts. And, I mean, we have concave antler points that they've recovered and stuff where they'd hollow out an antler and leave the natural tip on it.
I see. So this is a well-established technology, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's why it was all across the United States, all across North America, because this was the way they did it. This is what worked. This is what brought home dinner.
Right.
Yeah, these Clovis points. So these Clovis are beautiful.
This goes all the way down to Brazil.
Yes, and they were found into South America, a whole nother world.
And well, our DNAs line up.
Yes, a whole nother topic. But we're going to stick with points, Brent. We're going to go off on tangents if we're not careful. So here is a Clovis point. This one happens to have an enormous fluid all the way up in here. On the back side. They don't have to be exactly the same, but this is a classic shape. And I will put this Clovis right here just to show the amazing similarity.
And that fluid allowed them, when they would split the top of their shaft.
Right.
And then with that fluid in it, it would allow each side of that shaft to kind of lay flush.
To lay flush on it there.
Yeah.
So you can glue it in, and wrap it,
use pine tar.
haft it in there. And
then
that
wrap it
would,
with sinew.
and that was a strong, powerful point that would penetrate a large animal.
Right.
And once again,
And see why they
bring home
wanted
an
to
important
use
part of their
the
food.
socketed foreshafts. It was that way when they hit them with the spear,
Right.
that they're not dragging the spear around, but it's driving that point and that foreshaft into that animal. Well, then the back part of that spear, they're going to recover it.
They can get that back, but the point stays in the animal. They can put on a new point maybe.
Yeah, but the point, they wanted it to penetrate and be inside that animal. And as that animal moved, that point would be in there like a razor blade cutting.
Continue to cut and make them bleed.
Arteries and organs.
So, as these points evolved over the thousands of years, we call this the Paleo time, maybe 11, 12, 13,000 years ago. So we've got early Paleo, the Clovises, and then we have something more mid to late Paleo. This is a quad point. Right? It's one of my favorite ones. Now this one of the ears, one of the oracles has broken off, but I'm going to show this here. This was found in mid-Missouri, and if you look at the flaking on that, isn't it amazing how sharp that is to this day?
Yeah, it is.
It has amazing flaking. They're called a quad.
And this come from where?
This comes from Boone County, on the border of Callaway County.
So this is St. Louis green material.
St. Louis green material. Isn't that beautiful? So this is a quad.
Yeah.
This is a quad. People guard their sites, Brent, more than they guard their fishing holes.
Oh, it's a soccer field now.
It's a soccer field now. So this is this quad point here, and it has the broken oracle. You can see it has amazingly parallel and beautiful flakes. The technology was just fantastic. They made this, and even though the ear is broken off after 11,000 years, I consider this one of my favorite pieces.
It's still a quality piece
in the world. It's just beautiful, and you could imagine this in a large mastodon. This could take down a number of these. In a team of hunters, this could take down
Kansas
a
and
large
Nebraska
animal.
is a really hot spot that they find where these buffalo jumps were, and then like down around the Lake of the Ozarks, down around Truman Lake, and where Truman Lake now sits used to be Mastodon State Park.
So we're right in the thick of things.
And that's the largest number of closes ever found in one site in the United States.
And the mass here in central Missouri.
And it was a swampy area that laid along the Osage River. And they would run the mastodons into that swampy area. They're so big and heavy.
They get stuck.
They get stuck.
And they could dispatch them.
They dispatch them
with the right tools. Now, as we get into the later Paleo period, Brent, they had fewer flakes here. They fewer of these flutes here. And this is what is called a first view. Now, you can see the shape is very similar to that of a Clovis.
The Clovis.
That's a plain view.
And it doesn't have the thinning that the Clovis does with the flute.
Doesn't quite have the flutes in it, but still a very, very old piece made out of beautiful chart. And because it's just a curved base, there's no notches or anything on the sides, but this is still considered a paleo piece or a late or transitional.
And you're starting to get into early archaic, and but it's still heavily ground.
Yeah, so what are those features? So the base is ground. Let's show them where it's ground here.
On these edges, all the way around here. This is going to be ground smooth.
Ground smooth, so where they tied it on.
Where they wrapped it with sinew.
It wouldn't cut it.
It wouldn't cut it. And it
was stronger, too. And it was a stronger edge. People debate what it is. It was probably all of the above.
Right.
So the base of the point is ground, and up here is still sharp.
Right.
For penetrating.
Right. Because, see, we haven't... You go back 1,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
It was still conifer forest here. And then about 1,000 years ago is when the deciduous forest came in.
So it's been changing for all these thousands of years.
All the fauna changed on its own as the glaciers came down and pushed stuff down from Canada and Saskatchewan, and
Right.
it's wild. I mean, it's like some of the material you find around the Great Lakes and stuff. The Great Lakes were built by the glaciers.
Right. Yeah, the geology is fascinating. How things have changed,
and that's where civilization stuck around those places.
Yeah,
because they had water.
right.
They could bathe. They could store meat at depths in the water. Because once they get down in the mid-40s,
it preserves.
meat's going to last quite a while.
So they had this figured out, didn't they? They knew how to survive.
And that, or they jerked it.
And then
They hung it over smoke and
preserve their salmon, all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna make you stick with the points, Brent.
Okay.
Now in the transitional paleo time, we're also points.
Into the
This
agate
is
basin.
an agate basin. You know where that one came from.
Yeah,
Now that's an
and
agate basin. It too is ground on the bases.
Very much so. And
Very sharp. And a point like this may have been more of a spear or a knife, maybe.
This would have been a spear.
Would have been a spear. It was heavy.
Yeah.
So it was maybe
they were
plunged.
They were still killing mastodons, and that's one of my favorite points. And
I love agate basins. I'm very fond. So here is the agate basin.
I like the cross flaking on it. The parallel flaking is what they call it.
So it has parallel flaking up here on the top.
And
it has a beautiful oval or lenticular cross section.
Right. Almost a football shape if you look at it.
Yeah, and the base is ground. So the base of it is smooth.
Yeah.
And then the upper part here is sharp.
Right, but the grinding was farther up on the shoulders with the agate basin from the Clovis people or from the Folsom people.
So that was the evolution here. Now, you mentioned Folsom. After the Clovis people, there was this short period of time of Folsom people. They don't know how long it was, maybe 300 years, 500 years.
But there's an argument
long.
that they think that the Folsom is the first point.
Folsom may have been first. So there is some debate there.
You're going back to New Mexico again.
Right. Folsom is where they were originally found. Now, I have something very special here, Brent. Here is a related piece. It's called a Midland. It's a Folsom without a flute. But this point, now Folsom are very, very rare and very, very valuable. So they are frequently faked. People will try to nap them. Right. But if you notice on here, what is on the surface of that stone?
I can see the caliche.
Caliche. Now that comes from thousands.
And it's calcification.
Thousands of years being in the elements. And can you fake that?
No.
You can't fake that.
Now, some of the minerals they can. The iron deposits, the manganese deposits.
Really?
They put them in buckets and put metals and stuff in there and let them sit in there and
artificially age them.
Yeah.
But this Midland point here.
It's a classic, and that's what I want to see, like on Knife River and flints like this and stuff, because that's how you can, really tell the authenticity of it.
Yes, so here's a Midland point from the Folsom culture. It has this caliche, this desilication on the surface. It's also translucent too, and I think if I bring up my flashlight, maybe Hunter, can you get a flashlight here, my friend? And I want you to see, Brent, the light coming through this amazing piece. Can you see that?
Yeah.
For our folks at home, look at that point. You can see the light going through it. It transilluminates. I can't get it right. There you go. Beautiful material. It's got the patina, caliche on it.
Beautiful.
Can't fake that. So this is a true. And they were small, elegant, beautifully made points.
55 years of hunting, I've found one Folsom.
In your entire life of hunting points.
Right.
Amazing.
But I actually found close to 30 broken pieces on that site.
Amazing.
Everything that I found on that site was fluted.
Now, this is a transitional piece.
Right.
These are called Daltons or Dalton-related points.
You're right.
And you can see it still has this straight down side. There's still no side knob. You can see there's now a hint. There's starting to be a little hint of side notching.
And this has shown me that I'd want to say a Holland Dalton.
Yes.
Because the way it's shouldered here, the
Right.
shoulders are concave on the shoulders. You got a concave base.
Right.
And the grinding just abruptly stopped at the top of that shoulder.
There we go. So you can see here on this beautiful point, and this one is from the Arkansas River in Oklahoma. This point here, once again, there's just starting to get a hint as this has evolved a few thousand years after the Clovis. It's starting to get a little hint of a shoulder here, but the shape is pretty much the same, and people call this a Holland Dalton or a plain view or so. They're very related. Now, here is a true Dalton, and here we are getting into the what people would say 9 to 10,000 years transitional paleo or maybe early archaic. Now we're getting into the archaic period, and here is a classic Dalton. You can see the base; it's got that fish base to it. It still has the same long shape here. And this could have been a knife as well as a projectile point?
Yes, because, I mean, they had skinned the animals that they were eating. And,
Right. So we call them arrowheads, but so far all we've seen are spear points,
and knives,
dart points, and knives.
Yeah.
So arrowhead's a misnomer, even though it's on my T-shirt.
Yeah, and I mean...
And by the way, this is a good time to mention that if people want to learn more information about these and really study them, there's this Overstreet guide. Let me see if it'll show up in this book right here. This is the Overstreet guide to arrowheads, and maybe I can show it up here to this camera here. This is the Overstreet guide. It has many editions.
Which
this one is the 15th edition. And this is a great place to continue your self-education.
The 17th is the oldest, the last one that Robert Overstreet did, and
right. So and it shows all these different points where they came from. Just an incredible Bible of information. Now, what I want to show, Brent, is the evolution of these paleo points into early archaic. So what I want to take is I purposely took this, what's called a Graham cave.
Right.
And I want to show people the base is almost the same, but now you're starting to see little side notches. So I'm going to put them here back to back. The base is still ground, not as much as before. It still has the same general shape, but look at those little side notches now. Now they're realizing when they haft it,
it really locks it into
it really locks it in, those little side notches. So you can see now are things evolving slowly because the technologies have to work.
Right.
But these things are evolving. And something you're also starting to see here and now that we're getting what's called the early archaic period, 9,000 years ago.
Be your Cody complex.
And now we're starting to see a stem on the base. And something I want to emphasize when we're typing points, the most important part is the base, isn't it?
Right.
So this is a Scotts Bluff, part of the Cody complex, and all we know about them is they were far and wide on the plains.
Right.
Maybe 9,000 years ago. Does that sound right?
Yeah. There was a high concentration of them in Nebraska and Kansas, northern Kansas.
Okay.
And all the way up through Nebraska.
Yeah, and they still had really beautiful flaking, didn't they?
Yeah.
If you look at the flakes on here, they're parallel. They're beautifully made.
Really fine.
Really fine. And some of them go all the way across. It's called outrepasse.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do that.
And they're doing pressure flaking.
And pressure flaking. So instead of just striking hard, they're actually putting the antler on there and pressing.
Pushing it across.
Pushing it across in a very special way. So this, I love these Scotts Bluff.
So, I mean, you go back to your Clovises and stuff. Most of them were percussion flaked all the way down.
All the way.
Until they got to where they used the indirect percussion and knocked his flutes in it.
Okay, so indirect percussion, they take the antler, put it on, then they would hit the antler once it was
once he had that nipple
properly
in the center of that base.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would take an abrading stone and he would work that nipple to where it was flat on the end of it. So it gave him 2 contact points so he could flute each side. So when he set his nipple, he made it to where he knew he was going to fluke both sides of that point. Hopefully that he was going to get a good fluke off of both sides of it.
And sometimes they broke the whole thing, and they just toss it, right?
Toss it and
called the manufactured broke.
Or
it broke while they were making it.
Somebody 10,000 years later picked it up and decided they were going to use it, and a lot of that happened.
Now, Brent, you used the pronoun him. There is debate whether it was just men that did the fluting or whether women were involved. It's my understanding that at least when white men came to America, there were very well-defined roles.
Right.
There was the men's job and the women's job, and that's just the way it was.
Right.
It wasn't a right or wrong. It's just the way it was. Do you have a personal feeling, was napping done mainly by men?
I think so. I think because the types of flora and fauna that they were in determined on how big of a piece that they needed, the type of animals they're trying to bring down.
Mm-hmm.
And so they would make their points as they moved along, and the men would leave the villages and sometimes be gone a month to 3 months at a time, usually late in the fall.
Right.
And the women were more in charge of keeping the village going.
Mm-hmm. And working the hides once they came in, right?
Right.
A lot of work that would be.
That and smoking meats.
Crucial. People had their roles, and they were all crucial to survive.
Stitching brain tan hides together, and the ones that used teepees here in central Missouri, most of them lived in sod houses, where a lot of people see an Indian mound, and they instantly think, well, this is a burial site.
Right.
But 8 times out of 10, it's not a burial site. That was a home site.
It's a home site.
So many centuries, they built homes on that same stratus, and it would build up over the years.
Interesting. And along the Missouri River here, I've walked along the bluffs, and all of a sudden there's a mound just out of the blue. You know, there's so many thousands of them. So as we get further into the early archaic period, Brent, you can see they still had lenticular shapes, right? But look what's happened here. The base is still ground, but tell me about this material. Notice the color.
That's a red jasper.
That's a red jasper. Now, was that potentially heat treated to bring out the color?
This type of material, no, it was
not.
This material was naturally
That's naturally red.
And that you can see they're really getting into the serrations.
Yeah, now serrations are these little
tiny
teeth.
barbs all up and down both sides of this.
So that would really cut.
Yeah, it really allows it to cut. And it also, once it penetrates the animal, it keeps it from pulling back out.
I see.
So it's serving 2 purposes there.
And you can see there's artwork. You can tell that this was an artistic pursuit.
And
the symmetry, the color, the beauty. So this is what most people would call a Circe point, named after a Circe County, I believe, in Arkansas.
Yeah.
So you can see it's still got this. There's some debate. I've had a number of people look at it.
It doesn't have the flaking that I'm thinking of for like your Anglesters.
Yeah, it's related. Now, as people can understand, they weren't following a cookie cutter method.
No, that flint's going to tell you how it's going to work, and it's going to only allow you to work it a certain way in different types of flint, and that's why you predominantly find in an area one type of points. A lot of the time is going to be made out of the same material that culture was using.
I see. Now, as we get more into the early archaic, we now start seeing stems and barbs.
Right.
So I'm going to show you here some beautiful hardens. These are hardens, and some people think that these are related to Scotts Bluff, that Scotts Bluff was more of a Western variety.
Right, they're transitional pieces.
And then Hardin were kind of east of the Mississippi or close to it. And so here we are starting to see a stem and barbs.
And the barbs holds the point in.
And they're true points, true barbs. And here is one of the same variety made of a completely different material. Look at that. Look at that beautiful black material. Isn't that gorgeous?
Now,
That's
this
one of my
Missouri,
favorite. Yeah, yes. Look on the back
is it
there.
Winterset
Look on the back.
or
I have it.
Excello?
It's Excello shirt.
Yeah, Excello
Gorgeous
shirt.
black shirt that's only found in Missouri in a
Only
few
found
little
in a really
small little area. And they knew where they were.
Yeah.
And they would go long distances to find it and to trade it.
And a lot of times this type of chert will have a lavender lightning strikes through it.
Oh, wow.
And if you get lucky and find one that has the lightning strikes that go all the way through the point,
Yeah.
when you hold a light behind it, that lavender will light up.
That's
And
amazing.
That's what really makes that type of flint really desirable in the collector community.
Oh, yeah, these are gorgeous. So these are two of my favorite points in the whole world. Those are hardens. There's a black one, a white one. One's from Illinois, one's from St. Francois County, which is the little mountains here in Missouri near the Mississippi River. Both hardens. Those are about 8,000 years old, clearly getting into the archaic period, where we now are starting to see a true stem and barbs. And now, more over towards Ohio and whatnot, maybe the Tennessee Valley, we now start to see a transition into doves on the base. Now, this is a hard dove.
Hard dove. And it's
Hard dove, and it has features of a harden and a dove. The base is round, and you're now starting to get notches.
right. And that's telling you that those cultures are overlapping.
They're overlapping.
And they're teaching each other how to make these pieces.
Yes, it's a very
And-
well-established technique,
And
isn't it?
This superb piece here made out of Dover flint.
Isn't that
Classic
a gorgeous? Now that
is
is a dovetail. Now, would you explain to our audience about the notches? How did they make these notches?
these notches, they would take a piece of deer antler
Uh-huh.
and they would use it on a piece of sandstone or a piece of rough granite,
Mm-hmm.
and they would work it down to where they had a fine tip where it would fit in these notches.
Okay.
And then they're going back into the pressure flaking, where they take a small piece out here. Well, then once they take that small piece out, they've got to flip it over and come from this direction.
And that's how you can tell the fakes,
Right.
because they're kind of grinding out these notches
And
rather than percussing them.
There'll be stacks in these notches if they're
Uh-huh.
modern. And a lot of times you'll see the crushing, you'll see antler residue. A lot of your modern nappers are using copper and
under a microscope, you can see those pieces of copper in there,
right.
can't you?
Yeah, and a lot of times on a good sunny day, that copper will shine like glitter.
Yeah. Now, would you also explain the beveling? Now, once these were used, they would get dull and they would resharpen
They
them.
would resharpen it.
Would you
And
explain beveling, please?
when they beveled this piece is that another one? Another
No, this is a bit, I'm going to
it
use
does?
this to explain side versus corner notches.
Okay, this is a corner notched, and in the beginning, this was a wider piece.
Uh-huh.
It's probably another 1.5 2 inches longer than what it is now.
Right.
So they're taking this they hit a tree or hit a rock, they
Right.
dinged it.
Right.
So they're going to come back across, and they're going to come from the face of this rock, and they're going to push down.
And
it's
flake
gonna,
off.
And they use a really fine antler. That antler is going to be about 1/8 of an inch wide. You can see by his serrations here.
And he creates...
You can tell that's the same tool all the way down that point
Right.
on this side.
And it's the same on both sides, isn't it? So what you have here is a dovetail. We can see the tail here, the dove. You can see the corner notches, and we can see this beveling. And I hope this shows up here, that you can see the beveling, and it's sharpened on the same side. And I believe this is called left-handed beveling, because when you're holding it, you can see the bevel is here, and you flip it around, the same bevel is here.
Right.
So this is a dovetail, which is resharpened, beveled with corner notches. Now, this came out of these early archaic pieces called big sandies, and you can see this is a side notch piece, isn't
Right.
it? This is probably a little older than the corner notch. So you can see the evolution of these points, and you can see these dovetails are getting really fancy.
Right. And you've got one laying here right in the dead center that a lot of people mistake as...
This one?
No.
This?
A lot of people mistake them and think they're woodland pieces and stuff.
This one? You're talking about this one?
No, your table rock in the center there.
Oh, well, we're going to get to it. Oh, don't jump ahead. I know. I've got so many beautiful points here. So I just want to point out that these early...
is before your dovetail and your harden.
It's even earlier?
Yeah.
See, you're teaching me so much here.
And you picked that table rock
I thought table rock was middle archaic, maybe about 5,000 years old.
No, they go back early archaic.
All right.
And they end in the middle archaic.
So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to finish off these.
The first points were heat treated.
Okay, so let me finish off these dovetails here. So let me give some other example of dovetails. Here's another dovetail. It's round, and you can see this. What is this white band?
The cortex off of
what
his
is the
nodule.
cortex? So flint or chert comes in these nodules
It's
in limestone.
Inside of limestone or in sandstone, and
the outside of the nodule has this white stuff called cortex.
Right, which is a true chert.
And this is getting to more of a flinty chert, more pure silicate.
Yeah. This is where that white is down there. It's porous. It's kind of grainy.
And doesn't hold an edge. So that's why it's at the base.
Yeah.
And they did that on purpose.
Right.
So once again, so here's a dovetail, corner notch, dovetail, heavily resharpened with a left-handed bevel. Fantastic. So I also want to show off another piece. This came from an Indian museum called the Thunderhead Museum. All we know is that it was in a museum. It's been authenticated by some famous authenticators.
Was that museum
Jim Bennett. Jim Bennett authenticated this, and
did
some
it come
local
from
guys.
Virginia or Pennsylvania?
We don't know. We're thinking Indiana or Kentucky due to the style. It has very good mineralization in the cracks, and that's one way we can tell if they're fakes, right?
Right. You can,
in the cracks are little minerals that take thousands of years to form, don't they?
And those are manganese deposits.
Manganese, iron.
You've got your cliche, which is a calcification that builds up on the rock.
Right.
Certain soils has a high concentration of calcium, and the surface that's facing up will always have that calcification on it.
Fascinating. So these are things that a trained eye will look at and be able to tell. And that's why some people, the experts, say, it's a fake.
Yeah.
And they kill it.
They run their thumbs across it.
They can even feel it. Once you get good at this, you can tell.
You can feel. If there's a sharp edge on the face of that point, along any of those flakings, the hinge fractures, if it's sharp, that piece is modern.
Gotcha. And by the way,
if they use that at all, it's going to polish that flint or the chert.
And I just want to show another. Once again, this is early archaic. This is called a cache river.
Right.
This is a side notch point. You can see the side notches. These are found in Arkansas. The Crowley's Uplift or Crowley's Chart.
Crowley's Ridge.
Crowley's Ridge, yeah. And this is, once again, early archaic side notch pieces, and you can see how they've evolved to that.
They're pretty high concentration in this area.
And they're here. In fact, we have found one here in Boone County.
And then we have one that comes a county over called a Howard County.
The Howard County, and the notches are just a little
at an angle.
Yeah.
And the base is concave. And it's got kind of a rocking chair look to it.
Interesting.
And the Howard County tends to be larger. It usually tends to be 2.5 to 3.5, 4 inches long. And it's going to be about 1.5 inches wide. And
so even though they look very similar to the untrained eye, you can see these regional differences. And some people would say, hey, that looks like a Kentucky piece, that looks like a Kansas piece.
And that's what you see of these guys they don't have any business selling arrowheads. And, I mean, you see guys that are showing them in these auctions and stuff, and they intentionally cover up parts of the rocks and stuff.
So this is a good time to mention that in this field there are bad apples. There are people that try to
make money.
Try to make money. And that's why having an experience, and that's why it's so valuable, the information you've shared with me,
they're
Brent.
beating people up to make that money.
Yeah. Now, here's something called a table rock. This is a gorgeous piece. This is made of Burlington, and it has a slight pink hue to it, doesn't it? Where does that pink hue come from?
That comes from heat treating.
How do you heat treat, and why do you heat treat?
You will pack your flint in sand in a pit, and then you build your fire on top of it.
Okay.
And you want it to run around 800 to 1,000 degrees.
And not just for a minute or two. You do it like for days, right?
Yeah, for 3 or 4 days. Then you have to let it completely cool. Because they do that before they make this point.
So they've heated the chert.
They're making a preform. A biface preform. Where they remove all the excess off both sides.
And then heat treat it?
Then they heat treat it.
I thought they were heat treating the huge nodule.
No.
So they would make a preform. They make an oval shape.
Yeah. Oh, wait, no.
Preform.
Yeah. But I mean.
And then they'd heat those. And what does that do to the chert?
It makes it more consistent. It's more of a glassy. It flakes easier.
Okay. Easier to nap it.
Yeah, and it's more a lot of your highly stylized points and stuff like your dovetails and your hardens and your hard doves, Occalas. I mean, that was they're tied in there together.
Okay. Now, when did they start? It is said that the paleo, the really ancient, the earliest North Americans did not heat treat their chert. Is that true?
That's the theory. That's
the theory. So this table rock here, you're saying might be not just early archaic, 4,000 or 5,000 years old, but might be even older?
Yeah, it could be 6,000, 7,000 years
6
old.
or 7,000. So here we have a beautiful table rock, classic. The base is ground as we were feeling
really
the stem.
heavily ground.
Yeah, if we feel the stem here, it is smooth. It's very well ground.
And it's always ground up on the faces of the base, too.
Look at that. So this whole base is ground where it was hafted. And there's a classic table rock.
That kept it from splitting their shaft, whether it was in a handle as a knife, or whether they had it on a spear, or whether it was on a true arrow.
Okay.
I mean,
some kind of projectile.
Them smoothing that out kept that from splitting it down. They would use pine pitch, and then they'd wrap it with that sinew, and them grinding that would keep it from cutting the sinew, as well as splitting that shaft and force the projectile point through the shaft. Instead of the projectile point going into the animal.
Through the animal.
Yeah.
You lose the energy.
Yeah. It's killing all the energy going back into the shaft.
Gotcha. So here's a great example of the evolution of point styles. Now, the evolution continues, and you start finding what they call our drills, right?
Yeah, your classic tools.
Classic tools. Now, here's a drill. Now, you can tell what type of drill it is from the base. Because frequently this was, after the point was sharpened down, they'd say, we'll keep using it and we will make a drill.
They impact fracture on the tip
So they kept using this piece of chert until the bitter end.
And a lot of them, later cultures picked them up and used them.
Interesting. Yeah, I've heard of examples of that.
When they pick up and say it's a thieves drill or it's a dovetail drill or a Dalton drill, but you don't know that somebody 5,000-6,000 years down the line found that piece, because our creeks and waterways were their highways.
They were their highways. That's right. And some of these springs were around a long time. Oh, yeah. And they would camp there thousands of years after years after years.
That's where you ended up with the dirt mounds that were houses.
And these different cultures.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard it said that obviously they work with hides and they would need to sew them and they would make holes in the hides with these. But I've also heard there was an example of one of these in a bone being used to dig out the marrow.
That was the number one thing they consumed when they killed an animal.
So the marrow was really
The
crucial. So
marrow.
once again, I'm going to bring us back to the Dr. Gil show and the medically related information. This is very good evidence of how they harvested the marrow, which was full of fats and full of nutrients and minerals and whatnot. A very valuable part of their toolkit.
Yeah, the marrow of the bone holds more nutrients than any other part of
There you go.
flesh. I mean,
there you go. Well, I have so many points here, Brent, and I got to keep moving. Now, if we get into the middle and later archaic period, this is something called an Etley. This one was found, I believe, in Jefferson County, Missouri.
Or just southwest of St. Louis.
And it is made of I believe, a Burlington.
It's Burlington chert.
And tell us about those black spots on it,
that's
Brent.
manganese deposits.
Manganese deposits, and it's hard to fake those, isn't
Right,
it?
and just scrubbing it, it's not going to come off.
It doesn't come off.
So it doesn't hurt when you go out and walk a field or walk a creek.
Right.
When you recover your pieces, it doesn't hurt to go home and take a toothbrush, a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of Dawn, and warm water.
And clean the dirt.
And
I like clean
off.
points. I like clean points.
And because that's when the patina really shows, is when you get the debris and debutage and stuff off of those points, and you can really see the flakings and stuff, and makes it stand out.
So here is the points evolving. It has a stem. It has corner notches, and you can really see those black mineral deposits showing that this is right as rain. This is the real thing. That ain't no fake right there. A true Etley. Now, something I would like to also show is that these leaf shape or lenticular points were still made even in the middle to late archaic, even 3,000 or 4,000 years ago.
In the Nebo Hills.
And this is a Sedalia.
A Sedalia.
And you can see, and hold these two, Brent. You can see to the untrained eye, they would look very similar, but there's differences there.
There's a lot of differences.
The agate basin, the old transitional paleo.
The parallel oblique flaking on this. These,
this is beautiful, beautiful flaking.
And the flakes, they run them at an angle.
Okay.
And they would drive these flakes, they would push them all the way across. So they're hitting this piece like this. They're not doing it with pressure flaking.
And the Sedalia here, thousands of years later, when it kind of looks the same, doesn't have the grinding, it doesn't have the flaking, it's thicker.
Right.
And the base is not ground.
Right. And Sedalias weren't fluted.
And they're not fluted. So here you go. This is still a beautiful point, a very valuable point.
And then
big Sedalia. But to the trained eye, these are very different. Agate basin, transitional paleo, and the Sedalia middle to maybe late.
Right. But then you had
archaic.
You had your Nebo Hill in between them.
Oh, you mentioned Nebo Hill. Look at this. Here's a Nebo Hill. I thought Nebo Hills were maybe even a little younger than Sedalias.
No, they're right at the same time period.
Same time period.
And the difference between
has more of a diamond cross section.
Football is what I call it.
More of a football cross section. So here's a Nebo Hill.
It's got a median ridge on both sides.
In the middle, there's this ridge called a median ridge.
And that adds strength to the point.
Okay.
And you can see how he took these flakes off here, which would have let him set it, whether he was socketed in an antler, or whether he was putting it on a river cane shaft, or, we don't really know. We can guess. And
so here's a Nebo Hill. Hard to tell the difference unless you're experienced, but there's a Nebo Hill, a little smaller, about contemporary to Sedalia, and here it is in comparison to the older agate basin. That's an interesting example of the evolution, isn't it, Brent?
Oh, yeah. It's so fascinating. And
now, as we continue across the country into the Tennessee area, I want to mention that there's some beautiful church there in Tennessee area, and this is made of Sonora. Tell me about Sonora. Isn't that beautiful?
Sonora. The main quarry is in Hardin County, Kentucky.
Kentucky. For the Sonora. And it's shiny.
Yeah.
It's colorful. It's blue to purple.
It tends to have blue and purple in it. And it's usually semi-translucent.
Okay.
It'll usually light up. And this is, I'd say, a Benton type point.
Exactly. That is a Benton point.
And notice how he worked his base. He did a purposely burned fracture across here and made that flat. Well, then he took it and flaked it up from there. So it makes more of a socket. And the same way on this side here. You can see where he did his burn fracture, got rid of the sharp edge completely.
And it also curves off to one side, which suggests this may have been a hafted knife.
Right.
So this is probably a knife. I'll leave it right there. Made of gorgeous Sonora chert.
Highly sought after.
Highly sought after. This is, once again, I love them all. How could you just have favorite? This is a beautiful Benton from Kentucky. Now we've seen notches come from the sides and the corners. They even have notches on the base, don't they?
Right.
So here is another point. This one is from Tennessee. It's called an Ava.
Eva.
An Ava, and it has basal notches coming off the bottom. Isn't that interesting?
And that allowed them, when they socket that in a stick or a handle, they could wrap it here, and then they could come on up and wrap it at an angle here.
That's how it was hafted.
See, you can see here how it's got a little dish.
Look at that. Yes,
right
I
here.
see it now.
And that locked it in.
So that's how this locked in. Here we go. So this is an Ava with bottom basal notching. And there's a hint of the hafting here with the sinew wraps. Right here was where it was wrapped right here. I didn't know that, but now that you pointed out, it's clear as day.
Yeah.
Where how this was hafted to the end of a stick. So here's an example of basal notching.
Right.
So the evolution of points continues. Now
see that piece you just touched there, that piece of jasper?
Yeah.
It's got tannic acid stains on it.
Now this is once again Tennessee, Kentucky. This is Kentucky. Made of beautiful Sonora, and it has what they call a turkey tail.
Turkey tail. Fulton.
Look at that. Fulton. Now, what do you mean Fulton?
It's got the diamond-shaped turkey tail.
And why did you say Fulton?
Because you have two different types of turkey tail. You have a turkey tail Fulton, and you have a turkey tail Harrison.
So this is a turkey tail Fulton. I'm learning so much here. Let me see if I have another turkey tail. I didn't bring another turkey tail.
I love that. That's got the red in it.
Isn't that beautiful material? That's more Sonora.
That's classic Sonora.
Isn't that gorgeous? I think our viewers can appreciate just how much we love this. We are touching an artifact made thousands of years ago.
That somebody used to survive off of.
To survive.
They fed themselves. They made everything they needed.
They kept their culture alive.
That was their tool. I mean, they carried a pouch on their side, and a lot of times they'd make several points and carry them around and just haft them as they need them.
Yeah.
They'd have their knives. They had knife sheaths.
And they were real artists. Now, this is a wonderful example. I believe this is an Adena. And these are late, archaic, maybe getting into what's called the woodland period, which is much more recent, maybe only 2,000 or 3,000 years ago, right?
Yep.
And look at that.
And it's heat treated.
It's heat treated, and it's got beautiful colors and veins in it, doesn't it? Stripes.
And this come out of Mexico? Oh, no, Missouri. So that's
Now, some will argue the Adena culture did not make it this far, that it stayed made it to. What do you think?
I think they were on both sides of the river.
So some people say they were just in Ohio and Indiana and didn't make it to Illinois, but this is pretty good evidence they made it across the river.
The round base it doesn't look anything like a Dixon. It doesn't look anything like a Wabisa.
Yeah, now a Dixon, There's also a contracting stem point.
It's going to be either straight across on the base or concave slightly.
So let's show the difference. So
And-
here's this beautiful, probably Adena with this beautiful red banding and striping, gorgeous piece.
That's probably just city chert with that tan in it.
Here is what people around here would call a Dixon. It's still a contracting stem, but it's flat on the bottom. This is a gorgeous one. It's beautiful, symmetrical, it's sharp. It's just a beautiful piece, isn't it?
Right.
Shows the difference there.
But then you have another one, the Hidden Valley.
Which is very old. And in fact, I didn't bring a Hidden Valley with
And a
me.
Hidden Valley.
Looks very similar. It's still a
is-
contracting stem, isn't it?
Right, but it's late Paleo.
Right. Or early archaic.
And
Yeah, it's old.
Really fine serrations.
Now, Brent,
But they look like a Dixon
They
to the
look like
untrained eye.
correct, but they're ground, and yeah, they're
ground,
very,
and
very
they've
similar.
got the serrations, and a Dixon isn't serrated. A
Now-
Dixon isn't ground. And
Right. Yeah, these bases are not ground, folks. These bases are sharp, no grinding at all. Now, these are pieces of art, and some of there's very, very special chert outcrops. And you're going to tell me, this is your test, you're going to know immediately.
Flint Ridge.
I just showed this to you, and you knew instantly this is Flint Ridge chert from a very special place in Ohio. It has this greenish, waxy shininess, little red streaks in here.
And
So that
it tends
is
to get,
Flint Ridge
which this is,
material.
they would call this peanut butter and jelly
Ah,
because of you got strawberry jelly today.
look at that.
And
Isn't
then
that
your
beautiful?
brown peanut butter. And that's,
Isn't that a gorgeous piece?
and then they also have one that has purple and the caramel color
Wow.
And-
In Flint Ridge.
in Flint Ridge, which is really highly sought after.
And I'm sure the
Yeah.
natives were
Yeah.
searching
Well, it's
for
just
that
like
too.
our winter set and our Excello Flint here in Missouri,
Right.
and our Crescent Quarry Burlington.
Super shiny. That's a super
Okay.
shiny, gorgeous
We're-
Burlington material.
Your standard Burlington is made under pressure, sedimentary rock.
So tell me, how does this chert and flint form in the earth, Brent?
I mean, layers and layers of material building up
Under pressure,
under pressure.
heat, in
And-
the limestone, in the chalk. Apparently, the
Right.
finest flint, true flint, is found in chalk, isn't
Right.
it?
It'll have a cortex that's a chalky.
Gotcha. So
And
here
a
is
chert.
a
And
gorgeous
you don't want to forget
Adena.
flint, you can put it around a fire.
Yeah.
Chert, you put it in a fire and it's going to explode. Because chert will hold moisture in the
a
rock.
fire. So you take it to thousands of degrees, or beyond, then it's going to interesting.
Yeah, even if you just have a campfire and you've got chert stones piled around that fire,
It'll pop.
they're going to start popping.
But true flint doesn't hold any water and can generally survive a high heat.
High heat. And
Fascinating.
what is the flint in Illinois that's white and orange?
I don't know. That's why I have you here, Brent.
And I can usually spit it right out. And it's a real waxy feeling. I mean, it's got a real soft touch to it. And
Yeah. So I'm going to continue to move on here. Now, in the woodland period, they started making these beautiful, it looks like the ace of spades, doesn't
Right.
it? It looks like a
Oh,
card. Now, this also is Flint Ridge material, and this is what they would call a Snyder's.
Snyder's.
They're
And
beautiful Snyder's. Now,
the Hopewell period.
Hopeful, so this is getting more recent, maybe
Right.
only
Really.
2,000 years ago.
Yeah. And really highly developed cultures.
Mm-hmm.
And the sites that they've excavated and stuff, the ceremonial and religious items that they found with these pieces is just
Yeah.
wild. And I mean, like the bird stones and the pottery and stuff that they find. I mean, that's all in with this piece here. And they were getting really highly stylized pieces.
Okay, so
And
here's
that's where they started making jewelry, your gorgets and pendants. And
Aha, so we may touch on those a little bit. So here is a Snyder's made of Flint Ridge, and this, my friend,
is made out
is
of.
perhaps the most beautiful Snyder's I've ever seen. And this appears to be made of heat-treated Burlington, isn't it?
Heat-treated crescent quarry.
Crescent quarry. So this is the highest quality
of
Burlington you can have.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible? And where is that from?
This would have been before he put this in that fire and left it for 2 or 3 days, heating up and cooling down. This piece was white. It was completely white. And then after he heat treated it, it brought out these tans and beiges and oranges and pinks. And
isn't that beautiful? So this is one of those most beautiful Snyders I've ever seen in my life.
That's coincidentally, that's the frame I'm working on now is my Hopewell frame. And I'm doing the Snyders and the Norse and the Gibsons.
So you like that they're quite popular, even though they're not as old.
Right.
They're just so beautiful. They're very popular.
I like the stylization of them. I like the way they're made. They're really finely made. And
now, I'd like to go on to talk more about materials. Now, this is a piece of obsidian. It's from Montana, where the volcanoes in the Northwest made this glass.
Mount St. Helens.
Mount St. Helens. And this, in fact, is almost clear. The light goes right through it. This is from the West Coast here. And I just want to mention that on the West, they had this obsidian, very shiny, very sharp, incredible material to make points from. And in fact, it's hard to age. It's hard. It doesn't develop a patina like others might.
It gets caliche on it.
It does get caliche on it. Gotcha. So it can be dated.
Yeah.
And I understand there's hydration analysis and stuff that can be done that will verify that.
Right.
Which leads us to
it's a organic material. It's chemical compound.
On the surface, like tannins, like tannins
like
are
this
organic.
You've got here that's got tannic acid on it.
Yeah, I'm going to get right to that. Yeah, we call it creek staining.
Right, and it builds up on the surface of that material, and once it actually embeds itself in there.
Right.
So it's not just on the surface, and that's why it doesn't wash off that well. That's why it doesn't hurt to clean your points up. And I hate going and looking at somebody's collection and all their points are covered in dirt and stuff. And
you can't appreciate them.
Yeah.
The flaking. Now, not all points were projectiles, and some of these were knives. This knife, this was found in Miller County in Missouri. This has the most gorgeous creek staining you could imagine. So
Missouri.
It's a Missouri creek-found knife.
Creek cobble.
Creek cobble.
And
so tell us about that.
It's a stone.
Staining.
It's a stone that appears in the creeks south of Missouri River.
Mm-hmm. It was carried down by the glaciers.
You don't find it north of the Missouri River.
Oh, interesting.
It's like your Moserkite. You don't find very much Moserkite north of the Missouri River.
That's a local. It's frequently confused with Jefferson City chert. It's a gray striped, but I don't think I have any here.
Moserkite is gray with quartz inclusions.
Okay.
Jefferson City chert is a white chalkish material with a slick caramel colored material swirled into
it. So the Moserkite has those little quartz crystals.
And it's gray and white.
Fascinating. So here, my friends, is a Missouri knife with incredible creek staining that comes from tannins, you're saying, organic tannins.
And which comes from the leaves and vegetation falling into the streams every fall.
So when there's people trying to fake it, they try to make it look like tannin. They put it in coffee cans of motor oil and crud and whatnot.
And fill 55-gallon drums full of leaves and
they try to imitate this.
And a maple leaf, they can gather maple leaves.
Right.
It will leave a tannic stain on that rock in a month or two.
Interesting. So beware of that. Now, until about, go ahead.
Because a lot of your guys, like I said, I started hunting 55 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And primarily everything I found was in plowed fields. They would plow down a foot to 18 inches.
They used to deep plow.
Right. So they're actually getting down into the middens where the campsites were.
Now, a midden was kind of like the trash dump for
Right.
a village,
Or
right?
the layers that build up
You
because
find the shells,
okay, if
the
you
bones.
go into the woods where there's trees, you're gonna build up between 1 inch and 3 inches of topsoil each year.
So
just
the
from
older stuff gets deeper and deeper and deeper.
Because as your leaves and your plants die off every fall, they compost, and of course plants have minerals and stuff in them, and that's a lot of that color that comes off these rocks and stuff is actually coming out of the plants that was buried in the ground with them.
I see.
Because the ground's, our earth is continually composting.
Gotcha.
And if people do it right, they shouldn't have to add anything to their soil.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other topic, isn't it? Now, up until about 1,500 years ago, these projectiles were thrown with atlatls, throwing sticks, or spears or whatnot. And people don't realize that true archery with arrows only came about 1,500 years ago. Isn't that right?
Yeah, 1,500 to 1,000 years ago.
Yeah. So do you know how Native Americans got that technology? Where did it come from? They finally came up with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when that happened, you needed lighter tips.
Right.
And here we have what are called in the world of arrowheads bird points.
Bird points, and that one.
And because they say they're small, they're for hunting birds. But this is a triangle tip.
That's for shooting average game deer.
Average. This would take down a deer,
right?
Because it's going very fast. So here is a triangle point from Kentucky.
You want your points between 100 and 150 grains.
So
you can actually weigh your points on a laboratory scale, and it'll tell you whether you're getting into the size that's going to shoot good off of a bow.
Interesting.
But you got to figure these guys were shooting bows that were made out of Osage orange or hickory, and a lot of these bows were draw weights of 120 to 150 pounds.
Heavy draw weights. I had no idea.
And I've watched guys bust balloons at 100 yards with a longbow.
With a traditional North American longbow. We're not talking about
United.
You're not talking about British.
No, I'm talking Native American longbows. And
so this is when these bird points started.
Right.
These are true arrowheads, and here's an Avonlea. You can see it's a side notch. This is an Avonlea from Montana. Do you want to see that, Brent?
Yeah, I never have checked it out. That's one state I've never got to.
That's an Avonlea from Montana, found on the surface.
Well, it's just
campsite.
Tiny flake that he worked with.
Tiny flake, but they turned it into a beautiful little side notch. You could see that would make a fantastic projectile on an arrow, and that could also bring down game.
Right, and they even had points that were half that size.
Even
smaller. Were put on blowguns, and they would use river cane. Once you get south of the Missouri River, down along the Gasconade, the Current and stuff, it's bamboo, but it's in our
made a good
arrow
shaft.
In our scientific books, it calls it river cane.
Interesting. Now, by the way, here is an emigrant type point. This is also Montana. It's made from an agate, and you can see these beautiful stripes here in the material. There you go. Another bird point. That could have been big enough to be on the end of a dart of some sort. And there's everything in between.
Yeah, because you're going to figure the inside of that blowgun.
Do they have blowguns?
Yes.
Here?
At most, they're going to be a half inch.
Gotcha.
Wide.
Gotcha. Fascinating.
And they would put a small shaft on it that was made out of the tip tops of the river cane.
Okay.
And then they would use cottontail fuzz. They could take sinew
the fletching,
and they could twist that around that small dart that they've made, and then take their sinew and wrap around it and affix it to that dart, and highly accurate.
Wow. So,
I used to have my own blowgun. I was really into shooting it and stuff.
All these things were effective.
I knocked a guy's tooth out with one of them.
Many moons ago.
He asked me to shoot it and stick it in his lips, and it stuck in his lips, but it knocked his front tooth out. And
well, Brent, coming across these points is an incredible feeling.
oh yeah, and
You get to touch the artwork, the technology of someone from. Then you're the first person in thousands of years, and frequently here in Missouri, they're coming into the creeks because they're wearing out, they're eroding out.
because our creeks, I mean, you can go down into a creek bottom, and you can look at it, and you can see how that creek or that river has meandered back
Kind
and
of
forth.
meanders, and these points come out.
And like
what?
the Missouri Rivers now is man-made.
Because the levees and it's
Right.
controlled, yeah.
Because the Missouri River used to run bluff to bluff. The Missouri River used to be the biggest river in the nation.
Interesting, just for surface area.
Yeah.
Fascinating. And now, what the point I was trying to make is when these points wear out and they get into the creek, what happens to them?
They end up in gravel bars.
Gravel
or sand
bar,
bars.
ashes to ashes,
Yeah.
dusted. They get ground up.
Yeah.
So, I've had
They-
people
they-
say, hey, you should leave them there. If you leave them there,
They're
they
gonna
get ground
destroyed.
up and destroyed.
And
So
it's
we, in
just like
fact,
it.
are saving history by doing this, aren't we?
But, I mean, the stuff we're finding, some of the stuff are 12 to 14,000 years old that have been in these creeks.
And then it just
And-
pops
and
out.
and it's laid in a fine gravel midden or sand midden, and it protects. It's just
And it's been protected for thousands
like
of years.
packing it in bubble wrap.
So I'm going to end this, Brent. I could talk for hours with you. We will continue to, but here's a personal find. My boy found this in Boone County in a creek. This is called a godar. You actually, in fact, helped type that. That's a Middle Archaic, maybe 5,000 years old.
Got that
Just
one
sitting
little
there
ding.
on the surface, private land. We had permission to be there, and there it was. So we saved that godar, and it
And
was
you
so
go-
exciting.
yeah,
and nothing's better than finding it yourself.
You go over 2 states and they'll call this a Big Sandy.
Yes, so this is just once again a side notch point. They're very, very similar. It's a side notch made of semi-translucent, beautiful material. And one more example here. This is another one found by my boy. Let's say in the high plains, out in the Rockies. And this one has different names. These are called a Hannah. Now they call it a McKean side, shoulder,
Yeah, there's so
shoulder,
many
side,
names.
shoulder. So
Yeah.
many names for it. But this also is a middle archaic type piece,
Right.
maybe 5,000 years old. And this was clearly a dart.
A dart, yeah.
It was some kind of dart. It was probably thrown with an atlatl. It was near an ancient dried up lake bed.
And that's where they find them. Up
Famous,
there.
and that's where the animals would live, and that's where the humans would
Yeah.
follow them.
Lake Sacagawea, I mean,
Yeah,
the islands
Yeah.
in it are notorious.
yeah. So
the islands in the Ozark lakes, I mean,
Right.
you get out on the edges of the islands when the water drops down, and you're liable to walk up on a whole village just laid out in the open where the waves have slapped back and forth and washed the clay and silt and stuff away. And here all these people's stuff is laying. And
amazing for us to
But,
discover and learn from.
And the thing Missouri disappoints me about, unless you get out in the very southeast corner, is pottery, which they find a lot of it in southeast Missouri, is because the sand down there is really silty, loamy dirt.
And it preserved the pottery, or they
And-
could make the
yeah.
pottery from it.
Well, they both. Well, they wanted clay to make their pottery. And they would grind up shells and add to it, which would temper it and make the pottery actually harder. They could make it thinner, lighter, but yet harder.
And how old is pottery? When did they start making pottery?
becomes about 2,500 years.
So about 2,000-3,000 years
Yeah.
ago, in pottery, they first discovered how
Yeah.
to do that.
Now, up here, our soil is silty loam clay,
Okay.
which when it freezes in the wintertime, expands drastically.
So it doesn't preserve the pottery very
crushes
well.
it.
It crushes the pottery, so we don't find much around here.
I've got a lot of broken pieces. I've never found a piece much over that big.
Now, for the risk of going over, Brent, I want to talk about briefly the concept of hard stones. These are not flint. They do not flake. They're made by grinding. Usually they're made of
pecking and grinding.
basalt, hematite, various granites and whatnot.
Diorite.
Diorite. So this, my friend, is a 3/4 groove axe found. Let me see, where was it found? In central Missouri, maybe Iowa.
It's a Nebo then. You've got your flute here. You've got a flute here. And it's got a groove on 3 sides.
And they would affix that to the end of a stick. They'd wrap it, and they had a way of making this strong on a handle. And this was an axe you could use to cut down a tree.
Yeah, you could cut down a tree. They would take down trees. They would lay it on its side. They would start a fire in it, let it burn for a little bit. Then they would take their tools, and they would gouge it out.
Make a dugout canoe, potentially. So let's show, this is a hard stone. We're just going to briefly show hard stone. Here is the material. The sharp end was called the bit. The back end was called the pole, I believe. Yeah. And you can see this groove. It goes all the way around, 3/4 of it. It goes down here. There's no groove here, but this is where it was affixed to the handle. This is a beautiful 3/4 groove axe made of hard stone and made by pecking and grinding.
Right. And that's not a granite, that's diorite.
That's a diorite, a very hard stone.
Yeah.
Now, this also is a personal find here in Missouri. We found this last year. This is called a celt. It is a ground, and you would miss that. You wouldn't think that's a point until you look at it and see
you look at it that there's an edge on it.
It has a bit.
You could feel that edge. You can feel where he's ground back here. And more than likely, as small as this was probably a hand tool.
A handle for scraping hides or
scraping
something.
hides or
something.
Cleaning fish, getting the skin off the fish.
So here's a handheld blade. It wasn't obvious when I walked by it, but then I took a second look, and there it was. So it has a bit, has a sharp edge. It's clearly been ground and is smooth.
And it's made out of limestone.
And it's made out of a limestone.
Which is really unusual.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
But your Burlington is in limestone.
It's in limestone. Gotcha. And here's our final piece of hard stone. This is called a mini celt. This is from Wisconsin. It's made of, maybe you can tell me the material. It has a bit. You can see it's clearly polished. There was a lot of love put in. Tell me about this part.
Not slate.
Is that a slate?
No, it's not a slate.
That's not a slate. It's harder than a slate.
Yeah, it's a hematite.
It's a hematite, a hard, high iron type material.
Has a high iron content in it.
And that's a real tool. It has a blade, it has an edge, and it wasn't made by chipping or flaking. It was made by grinding.
They would find a sandstone.
And grind it and grind it.
They would make a groove in that sandstone.
Okay.
Or sometimes they would dish it out. Then they could take a handful of sand and put in there. And then they would work this piece in at
long time, a lot of love,
and
making these hard stones.
And then when you get into your really fancy stuff, your discoidals and
see the sharp bit. This was a real tool, wasn't it?
Oh,
you could really do some work with this.
That dude was really proud of. I mean,
yeah, very proud of that. So, Brent, what a delightful conversation I've had with you. As
awesome.
always, I always learn so much from you. Once again, if you want to get more information, folks, here's the Overstreet guide. Almost any edition will do.
Right. Or you can simply get on your phone or your computer and go to arrowheads.com.
And there's also
in your state. And it'll come up and show you every point that's ever been found in your state.
Oh, my goodness. There's also projectilepoints.com.
Right.
Also another wonderful source.
Same
group online. You can go here. You can continue to learn wherever you're at.
That own lithics labs,
okay,
they make castings for museums and stuff.
So you can have a facsimile, and you don't have to haul around the actual one and
they're
get
making
it stolen or broken.
Material that they used to make dentures and other orthodontic materials and stuff, and now they can take these pieces and restore them because you can color that material.
Right.
Once you get it hot, you can mix in whatever color you want, and
you can barely
the guys
tell.
that are good. There's a guy here in town that is, I mean, he's phenomenal.
And if you weren't an expert, you barely even know.
Oh, yeah, you never know.
Fantastic.
The weight is the only thing that's going to be different. It's going
Fantastic.
to be light as a feather.
Well,
I mean, it's going to show every flake, every little tooth, everything on that point.
very
And
accurate.
those guys have been studying for a long time that produce those. So, I mean, a lot of people buy those to put in their offices and stuff. Or they're really popular because you don't want to, I mean, you've got probably $2,500 sitting there.
Let's not talk about that.
But, I mean, I've got a lawyer buddy here in town, and, I mean, he bought stuff from Lithics Labs, and that's what he puts in his frame. That's
I say so because the reproductions you don't have to worry about.
the theft and stuff.
Theft is it's
Right.
much less of a problem.
I had a buddy that lived at Coal Camp, Missouri,
Mm-hmm.
and he made cultured marble countertops,
Okay.
and he was doing not reproductions but repairs
Okay.
with that cultured marble.
And it
he
worked.
And he was doing it for people. People were trading him good arrowheads for him. Well, Donnie,
Don't use any names here.
I'm not using his last
All
name,
right. Okay.
but he come up with a heck of a collection.
Uh-huh.
And unfortunately, it was one of his family members and another friend broke into their house, killed him and his wife and their granddaughter
Killed him.
over his arrowhead collection.
My goodness. My goodness. So I have a friend in Wyoming, and he has big, heavy safes.
Yeah, and see, that's
For
why
his
I
points.
keep all mine, and my parents have a walk-in closet that's
Yeah.
a safe room. And
Yeah.
that's why I keep pretty much everything over there.
Yeah, I think we all do that. We all
Yeah.
have safe
I'll
safe
have-
deposit
yeah.
boxes where we keep these precious
I
artifacts.
have a few that I keep in my dresser drawer and stuff, and till I get tired of really looking at them, and then I'll take them over and
But place someplace
put
safe.
But I'm picky about the way I put my frames together. I like to put all of one type in a frame.
Right. Yeah.
Like
No,
I'm working on
this was just for today.
Yeah.
We generally have them in various
Yeah, because
categories.
I've got my Dixon frame, and then I've got my
Yeah.
Hopewell frame I'm working on now. I've got a table rock frame that's got 60 table rocks in it. And
Wow. So you can see, folks at home, it never gets old. Every
Yeah.
time you pick it up, you see new details, and you reconnect with the artisan
oh, yeah.
that made
And
this,
you always
this
wonder
beautiful artifact.
what that man was doing 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 years ago.
13,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
I mean,
it's a moving
Yeah.
it's a
And I
moving
mean,
experience.
When it gets up to European contact, most of their vegetables and stuff they didn't have. They didn't have corn.
Yeah, right, and the squashes and stuff. Yeah.
They didn't have pumpkins. They didn't have squashes.
Yeah, so
They didn't have green beans.
so your ancestors helped the Europeans
Tomatoes.
survive.
They didn't have tomatoes on the European continent.
Fascinating. Well, listen, this has been a great discussion both about artifacts and the human diet, what people evolved eating, what is probably the healthiest food that we can eat
Yeah.
for our vitality, our longevity, and our
Now we're
well-being.
Pulling stuff out of a can, and you don't know what that residue is in that can. And
All right, I'm just going to leave it at that, Brent.
Leave it at
Thank
that.
you for coming. Thank you
All
for
right.
sharing all your information. And I look forward to many more years of discussions and
Oh, I do too.
enlightenment
I do
from
too.
your vast array of knowledge and
Yeah.
memories.
Yeah, 'cause my dad's 83, and he's into them, and he's got his little collection. And
Let's way back through your Cherokee heritage.
that was on my mom's side.
Well, thank you very much, Brent,
Oh,
for your time.
thank
It was
you very
wonderful
much.
talking to you today.
And he's doing an awesome job.
He certainly is. Hunter's the best.
Oh, yeah.